Hi, and welcome to the Skincarma Pod. I'm Carmine, the creator and voice of the Skincarma blog. With more than 25 years in beauty as a brand builder, copywriter, and skincare junkie, I'm putting my product wisdom and expertise to work demystifying skincare. On today's episode of the Skincarma Pod, I'm joined by an intriguing industry expert, a cosmetic chemist who's developed more than 600 products across just about every category in beauty. Many of them are award-winning household names. My guest, Mark Broussard, is the founder and managing director of Desert and Bloom Cosmetics Lab. Formulation is his forte. From clinical skincare to OTC products, hair care, even pet care, you name it, Mark's made it. He's a development partner for indie beauty brands, dermatologists, and entrepreneurs pushing the boundary of clean, science-backed, high-performance formulations. And what every brand seeks out today, he's a MoCRA compliance expert. We may delve into that. But what caught my attention was his mastery of the 1% rule. The 1% rule? Well, yes. The 1% rule governs the order in which ingredients are listed on a skincare package INCI list. In short, it allows ingredients to be laid out in any order once they reach 1% weight in a product formulation. This odd regulatory loophole impedes transparency in marketing, enabling formula manipulation to make products appear more robust than they actually are. Allowed in both the US and EU markets, the 1% rule is helping to drive dupes of product icons by inviting formulators to essentially water down and cheapen an original formula. It's so fascinating. I can't wait another second for this conversation. So let's do it. Let's talk to Mark. Mark, hi.
Hey, how are you doing today, Carmine?
I'm great. Thank you. Welcome to the Skincarma Pod.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Great topic to talk
Yeah,
about
I'm
today.
excited. Yeah, for sure. And I loved our initial conversation about this. I got so into it. So I've been looking forward to this to recording with you all week. So let's just
Great.
jump right into things. I'd like you to start by sharing your background and your education.
Yes, background is I have an undergrad in microbiology. I've got a
Mm,
master's degree in synthetic organic chemistry, and then I went to business school. I've got an MBA. So I worked for several years in corporate development in business, and then
mhm.
managed to migrate my way into venture capital, did some venture capital. And then my wife and I got transferred to Europe for her job. So I actually became a professional fashion photographer for a bit and got to cover
Oh,
the.
wow.
Yeah. I've been into photography since I was in high school, and I got
Mm,
to cover all of the. I was a pit photographer at the fashion
okay.
shows. So London, New York, Paris, etc. And doing the runway shots. And then I would also do a little bit of editorial shooting, but shooting for modeling agencies for model portfolios. Then, when we came back to the United States, we started up a medical day spa. And the medical director one day asked me that her son had very severe acne. Is there anything I could do to help him with it? So I started researching and found some great ingredients all around the world that were not being included in acne products on the shelves. Um,
Hmm.
and I said, "Well, you're a chemist. Why don't you go ahead and formulate something, make something?" So that's how I got
Hmm.
started formulating, and that's been 15 or so years ago. And I started getting involved a lot with online forums, and people just started coming to me. Can you formulate X, formulate Y? And it's kind of later in life, I found my calling, is the way I like to look at it. It's kind of like when I was younger, I was always a lab rat. it's like kind of the last guy in the lab. I just loved being in the lab. So cosmetic
Yeah.
formulating was like being back in the lab. But the really nice
Yeah.
thing about it is, you can help somebody with their skincare issues. So creating
Yeah.
products is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I wish I had paid more attention in chem class. I will admit here live on the podcast that my chemistry teacher in high school he was probably, I mean, I don't know, he seemed very old to me then. I don't know how old, like, in reality he was, but he was probably past retirement and had really
Hmm.
no interest in really paying attention to high school students. And I did the crossword puzzle in chem class. I
Oh,
paid
okay.
hardly any attention to chemistry. And then I had him again for physics, and I don't even know how I made it through physics. But to this day, I am really good at the New York Times crossword puzzle. So I gotta chalk it up to him, right? Like,
If if only you could get paid for it, Carmine. Uh,
yes,
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so that's it's just one of those things. I kind of caught the lab bug early in life and just really enjoyed it. It was a natural home for me. And
yeah,
the nice thing about cosmetic formulating compared to the type of chemistry I was doing as a graduate student is things don't blow up. They don't catch on fire. There's really and when I when I was finishing up my degree, it's like, okay, do I really want to go into industrial chemistry for a living? Because I worked for Shell Research and Development at in their development labs, and was working with things that would thermocycle up to 900 degrees and stuff like that under high pressure. And it's like, anything can go wrong. One of these vessels can explode, and you're just sitting right there waiting to take it. So when I got out of grad school, I said, you know what? I'll let somebody else maim themselves or blow themselves up or deal with cancerous materials, and then went into business. And then coming back, that's what I really love about cosmetic chemistry is you don't have to deal with any of those issues, and the end result
right,
product that you're developing is something you can be proud of, right? People use it, they like
yeah,
it, they put it
yeah.
on their skin, it helps their skin. So yeah, it's all around a much more satisfying approach.
I love that comparison. So you've as I understand it, developed over 600 products, and I
Uh,
was like, I mean, I've met my share of cosmetic chemists, but you've developed products across every category, like clean, clinical, OTC, including acne and eczema, hair, baby care, sensitive, and my favorite, because I have a cat. My favorite is pet care.
Pet
Like
care,
that
yes,
is
yes.
that's
Yeah,
pretty extraordinary.
I've gotten quite lucky to have a wide, diverse set of clients coming to me for formulation that encompasses all of those different product sets that you just mentioned. And the interesting thing about pet care, which I really enjoy doing,
Yeah,
is it's very much like formulating for baby care, for an infant
yeah,
or a
yeah.
toddler. And there are some few differences in the skin, but basically, when you're looking at pet care products, like, okay, fine, I am really developing a baby care product just to be used
Mm,
on pets. Now, I am
hmm.
working with a pet dermatologist, and there probably aren't a lot of people that are familiar that there actually is such a thing. But there are some
Yeah.
dermatologists that specialize in pet care, and I'm working with one right now, and we're creating some nice medicated formulas for pets for skin lesions and things of that nature. So
I was
those
gonna
should
ask
be
you.
going to
Yeah,
market pretty soon.
That's amazing. And I never I think probably in all of my time, in all of my years as a cat dad, and I'm now a 4-time cat dad, um, there was only one instance where I felt like I needed something for one of my cats, and it was for my cat Orpheus. And I had just finished cooking, and he jumped up on top of the stove. And it was one
Oh,
of those like not a gas burner, but it was like the burners were underneath the solid glass,
yeah,
that
the
kind of
glass,
thing. And
yes.
yeah, and I never heard him make a sound like that before as he leapt off the stove, and he kind of hobbled around, that one paw up for
Yeah,
maybe a day, but he recovered pretty quickly. He definitely needed a salve, and I remember I put aloe on it, but of course he just wants to lick it off. So it was
yeah.
just like we had to just get through it. But
And that's
I'm
the
fascinated that you've done that.
Yeah, and that's the interesting. The other thing about pet care is they're going to lick anything that you put on them. So you have to
Yeah,
be very
yeah,
careful because, you know, they are things that are not poisonous to humans or poisonous to pets, right? And they're going to
yeah.
lick it. That's just going to happen. So it's
It
cool
reminds
feeling.
me, Orpheus, like my cat Musaeus now, he's very much still a street cat, and he kind of,
Hmm.
he does his own thing at night. He doesn't really, he'll come up onto the bed, but only for like 2 minutes. Whereas Orpheus would stay on the bed with me every night. He would jump up on the bed and like lay down next to me, and he always used to lick my arm because I had done my skincare routine, and I remember
Yeah,
thinking, like, why are you so obsessed with my retinol cream on my arm? And
they
I always wondered, like, it's probably not very good for you. And I pull my arm away, but he always managed to get a lick or two in before I did that.
Yeah, I've got a pet poodle, and it's the same thing. If
Mm.
I'm wearing any kind of cosmetic cream, right, he will just
Hmm.
lick
Yeah.
and lick and lick. I don't know what it is that attracts them
What
to
what
it.
is it?
I have no idea, but they just love licking cosmetic creams.
That is
So,
so funny. I've never talked about this with anybody, and here I am. Like I just remembered that
yeah,
it was always so bizarre.
yeah, it's just really common across pets, animals that for some reason either they find them very tasty or they're attracted by the
Right.
smell, or maybe it's just
Mm.
something, they're thinking, hey, dude, there's something on your skin. Let me get it off for you. You don't
Let me
know.
clean it off for you, because
You got it.
Lord
You
knows they're
got it.
finicky when it comes to, yeah, they're not finicky when it comes to licking your arm of retinol creams, but when it comes to their, the flavors of their food, it's crazy. So let's jump into Desert Bloom. Like, how
Sure.
did Desert Bloom, your cosmetics lab, and you're out in New Mexico, yeah?
I'm out in New Mexico in Placitas, just north of Albuquerque. So we're about 15 miles north of
Okay.
Albuquerque. I was in Santa Fe for a while, but then we transitioned here to Placitas. So Desert and Bloom Cosmetics Labs, we focus on primarily. I started off in the natural formulating world, and that's going way back when natural was a coming thing, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
evolved into clean, and then that's now evolving into clinical. So as the ingredients become more clean, so to speak, you can migrate up that chain in terms of performance actives, but focus on primarily skincare and hair care. I
Mm-hmm.
do OTC, and primarily acne and eczema and rosacea in the
Mm-hmm.
OTC space. Um, and that's the kind of the mix of segments of the market that I'm involved in is primarily clean beauty standards. I been formulating clean beauty before there were clean beauty standards. That's just the way I started. But I formulate to all of the clean beauty standards, and then migrating now more into clinical or clinical beauty, because there are some really great actives that have come out over the past 3 years that you didn't have access to before, that have very good
Mm.
clinical evidence.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's it. I stick to that space. That's what I know really well, and I enjoy doing.
Yeah. So you've talked about skin minimalist formulations. I've read. Like, what does that?
Yeah.
What does that mean, and what's the philosophy behind it?
Yeah. Skin minimalist formulation is the way I formulate, and that
Ah.
is you use only ingredients that are necessary in the formula to make it effective. So I'm very, very
Mm.
selective about the ingredients that go into the formula. Um, I use the ingredients at levels higher than probably most people do, but not to the point where you're dealing with skin irritancy issues or anything of that nature. Just effective clinical levels. Um, and what you're trying to do with skin minimalism is use as few ingredients as you have to create an effective formula. Use those ingredients at higher elevated levels, uh, but staying within the safety standards, so that you wind up with a formula that might have 15 ingredients, maybe 20 ingredients on the top end, depending on the product format. So the advantages of
Hmm.
that are the average person will put 168 different chemical compounds on their skin daily. Uh, you know,
Whoa.
yeah, 168. So if you go through cleansers and then moisturizer and then other skincare products, and then for women, it's even higher because they'll then get into cosmetic products on top of that. That's a lot of confusion for your skin being exposed to that many individual ingredients every day. And the other issue there is with layering, product layering. You
Mm.
typically, people will buy products from different brands as opposed to buying across the line of a brand. And some of those products from different brands are not designed to work in tandem with one another. So you may be introducing some cross reactivity. Maybe you're exposing yourself to 8 different cosmetic preservatives daily. So with skin minimalism, you're trying to reduce the number of ingredients that you're exposed to daily. And you're also trying to reduce the number of products that you use daily. So I'll use a lot of multifunctional ingredients in skin minerals formulations. That helps reduce that overall exposure. And then if you are manufacturing your product and you've got 25, 30 ingredients with a skin minimalist approach, now you're buying 15 to 20, and you're cutting down on your manufacturing cost. So it's something that should work well for everyone. So fewer products, fewer steps in the routine, fewer ingredients, better outcomes.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good
A
approach.
good. It's a good. Yeah, it is. It's a good approach. So a few moments ago, you mentioned like exciting actives that are coming your way for use in skincare. Like I know there are the beauty industry. There's trends.
Yeah.
Every year. This year's hottest ingredient is probably exosomes. The year started out with ectoin. Growth
Yes.
factors are hot. I feel like the year is ending on NAD plus. Like,
Yes.
which ingredient trends are exciting you right now?
The ones I'm most excited about are coming out of the biotech space. Ectoin's been
Mm.
around for years. It's just, kind of resurging in popularity. That same thing happened with niacinamide. But coming out of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
biotech space, um, Core Biogenesis out of France have growth factors fused to oleosomes, which show efficacy better than retinol. Uh, uh,
Mm.
yeah, really, really cool stuff. Um, and you know Tony Aboud? He's all over LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, their
Okay.
ingredients. They
Okay.
are it's growth factors fused to oleosomes. They have clinical data that it performs better than retinol. Very quick results, no side effects. So that's a really cool ingredient that I'm incorporating into a lot of different products. Um,
Oh,
Lucas
wow.
Meyer, yeah. Lucas Meyer Cosmetics has a an extract from a Chinese plant, again called cycloretin, that's got
Hmm.
retinol-like activity that equally performs, rivals retinol and bakuchiol as an effective active. Um, the company Evolved by Nature, if you're familiar with them, work on biotech ingredients derived from uh, silk
Oh,
proteins,
wow.
silk peptides. Those are really cool. And then I'm working with one company in particular. Um, this product we're just starting to commercialize. It
Hmm.
is a biotech derived mucin, and it has some really great effects for eczema. It's been incorporated into one of my clients' formulas for bacterial vaginosis, and it's not prime time yet. They're working on getting the manufacturing tweaks out. Getting that resolved. But you're going to see that ingredient starting to hit the market in 6 months to a year from now. But that is
Oh, how interesting.
probably the most exciting technology I've seen recently.
Okay. And let's circle back on that growth factor fused
To
to an
oleosome,
oleosome. Is the reason, in your opinion, that that growth factor is so effective that the oleosome enhances penetration of the growth factor because they're
correct. Yeah.
notoriously large molecules?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly it. So, uh, you know,
got it.
having an ingredient that just sits on the surface of the skin and then metabolizes without getting that penetration, you're not going to really have much effect. So that's the whole concept. There is the oleosome is the. Are you familiar with niasomes? Deformable
Yeah, for
niacin.
sure. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So the
Yeah, but just
oleosome kind of
explain what that is.
uh, uh, niasomes are basically vesicles you can encapsulate an ingredient, generally in cholesterol, with a non-ionic surfactant, and then edge activators. And they form these vesicles that the ingredient is encapsulated in that are shapeshifters, right? So when they hit the
Hmm.
skin, they can change shape as they need to drive into the dermis, right? And then release
Hmm.
the payload, release the ingredient. So the oleosomes are the same concept that kind of
Right.
like carrier shapeshifters that can get down into the dermis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then enhance formula efficacy.
exactly.
All fascinating stuff, right?
Yep,
So what I really like, let's jump into what I really wanted to talk to you about most,
sure.
and that's the 1% rule. So I teased it in the intro, but why
Yes.
don't you go ahead and give us a quick definition of the 1% rule?
Yes, the 1% rule relates to the way you can list the ingredients on the label of a product. And
Hmm.
fundamentally, it's in the United States and the European Union. You must list all of the ingredients in descending order by percent weight inclusion until you get to 1%. When you hit to
Right.
1%, every ingredient included at 1% or less can be put in any order you want to. So that's fundamentally the 1% rule in a nutshell.
Got it. And so how do you feel that this, I called it a regulatory loophole,
Yeah.
this 1% rule, this regulatory loophole impedes or otherwise deters transparency in product marketing? And do you feel like that's the case?
Yes, absolutely. That is the case. So I'll give you a simple
Mm,
example. Let's take
yeah.
a formula that contains 10 ingredients. The
Okay.
first four ingredients are all above 1%. So I have no
Yeah.
choice. I have to list them in descending order based upon their percentage weight inclusion in the formula. Now, for the other six ingredients, let's say they're all included at 1% or less. And three
Hmm.
of them are included at 1% each. And three of them are included at 0.0001% each. Using the 1% labeling rule, I'll label the first four. And then after that, if I want to take the three ingredients that are included at 0.0001% each, I can put them on the label preceding the ingredients that are included at 1%. So what it does is it makes that formula look like there's more of the 0.001% ingredients than the 1% ingredients. So that's really not transparent. I was going to say deceptive, but let's
Right.
call it not transparent because it is
Let's call
legal.
it non-transparent. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's legal. So using that 1% labeling rule, I can make a weak formula look much more robust by the way I play around with the way the ingredients are labeled, by taking all of
Hmm.
those 0.001s, putting them before the 1%, and it makes the consumer think there's a lot more of that particular ingredient in the formula than there actually is. There could be virtually
Right.
none, right? Um,
And it really
so
opens the door for dupes. Yeah.
it opens the door for dupes because with a dupe, I can take a strong formula, I'm going to dupe it, and I can
Hmm.
put in, you know, minuscule amounts, 0.001% of some of the ingredients, and then play around with the ingredient deck using the 1% labeling rule. I can label that dupe exactly the same way the original product is labeled. Now, you
Even though
know,
they're not at all the same formula.
even though they're not at all the same formula. I to the
Yeah.
consumer, they would not know the difference. I can make that dupe
Right.
label look exactly like the original formula, but it's a much weaker product. Now, kind of
Fascinating. And a cheaper
yeah,
and a cheaper product.
and a cheaper product. Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So then you've got a
Now,
dupe of an iconic product, and there's a product, the Estee Lauder Advanced Night Repair is notoriously duped.
yes,
And so you and consumers love that product, and maybe the top 10 ingredients include that fermented active that is so great for skin,
yep,
and then maybe some of the more expensive ingredients that are at a 1% or less can be kind of just put in as a smattering, right?
yep, yep, just a drop, and
Yeah.
that's the way to create a cheap dupe, right? But from looking at the
Yeah.
label,
Yeah.
you're not going to know it. There's no way to figure
Yeah.
that out. Now,
And there you've
if
got a product. So the advanced night repair, I don't know, I'm making it up. If it's $100, probably is $100 now.
yeah,
And you've got a dupe of that product, and I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say you've got a dupe of that product, and it's $40.
yeah,
And
oh
the
yeah,
reality is that it's not the same, whatever how much it costs to make that product. It's not the same at all.
no, not at all, not at all. You can make that the dupe with the same label by just literally including drops of the expensive components. You
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it doesn't matter honestly how much you put in. It can literally be one drop, and you can still put that as the lead ingredient on at the 1% line.
That
So
is
that makes
crazy.
it, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. That makes it very easy to create a dupe with the same ingredient deck, but nowhere near the efficacy of the original formula, and at
Yeah,
much lower cost. So you can make that dupe, sell it for 40, and still make great profit margins because
for
you're
sure.
not expending much on the ingredients.
And don't even bother with clinicals, because the whole point of it is it's a dupe, and
It's
the
a dupe,
consumer is going to believe that it's because it's a dupe, it does the same thing as the legitimate product that is supported by clinicals, and they'll buy it.
and they'll buy it. Yeah, they'll buy it just
Yeah,
based on price. Um,
yeah, yeah,
it doesn't hurt a consumer to try a dupe. If they don't like it, go back to the original, right? No big
yeah,
deal. But
yeah,
if you look at it this way, if if I can pay $40 and think that I'm getting the same thing, I'll pay $40 instead of 100. But that's the
yeah,
problem with the 1% rule. You don't know that you're getting the same thing, and you're probably not.
yeah. And so we talked about the 1% rule being um, regulatorily compliant in the United States and EU, but there's a different take on the 1% rule in South America, right?
Yes, that's correct. In the LATAM countries, South American countries, you
Mm-hmm.
have to list every ingredient in descending order by weight percent inclusion, no exceptions. So if you have an
Right.
ingredient at 0.0001%, it's going to be the last ingredient on the deck. You cannot put it above the 1%. So when you look at it, it's a much more transparent approach or regulatory
Mm-hmm.
requirement, because I can go down the list and I know everything's in that rank order. I don't know how much is in there, but I know they're in that rank order. So you don't
Right.
have that opportunity to play around with the ingredient deck as much to make the product look more robust. So if I do a LATAM regulatory labeling scheme, the three 1% ingredients are all going to be listed before the 3.0001% ingredients. In the United States,
Right.
I can take those 0.0001s and put them up above the 1%. So it's a really good regulatory scheme in terms of the way to do it, much more transparent for consumers. And it allows you as a consumer to take a look at an original and a dupe, let's say, or compare two products that have very similar ingredients and take a look at them and determine that one is a functionally stronger formula than the other because of where the ingredients appear on the ingredient deck, right? Everything's
Yeah.
everything's straight
Yeah.
down the line. Yeah, yeah. So it would be nice if that would be a requirement in the United States and the EU. Just from a consumer perspective, you have a much better sense of what you're getting in the bottle. And then
Yeah.
just kind of going back to it, the 1% labeling rule's been around since the 70s. And you
Hmm.
can. I did try to do some research to find out how it came about. Um, I
Hmm.
I actually was starting a podcast. You'll enjoy this, called "Who's the MF?" And it answers the question.
Good luck getting that on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, you aren't kidding, but it's a good idea. Where,
Yeah.
things that happen behind the scenes, there's always someone driving it, and they're very,
Yeah.
very rarely ever publicized or publicly known. So I was thinking it'd be
Right.
fun to do "Who's the MF? Who the hell did that?" And now we have to live with it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now we have to
so
live with it.
Exactly. So it happened sometimes during the 70s, and regulators negotiate regulations with the companies in the industry. So
Yeah.
I can only assume that was a negotiated rule, so that companies could maintain some proprietary aspect to their formulas, right? You look at a formula
Hmm.
with a 1% rule, you know, as a cosmetic chemist, I have a good idea that this particular ingredient is included at X, that one's at Y. But there's a lot of ingredients you have no
Right.
idea about. You just can't, you don't have enough information from that ingredient deck to really determine. So you use your educated guess for the most part. Uh, but that makes it much more difficult to try and dupe a formula, because I know everything above 1%. I know everything below 1%. I know common usages, but I don't know exact percentages, and there's no way to determine it. So it does provide
Right.
some degree of protection to product companies that makes it harder to knock off their formulas.
Interesting. Well, we will probably not want to hold our breath on anything changing with the 1% rule. I mean, I
No,
mentioned I mentioned in the intro that you're a MoCRA compliance expert. Like the MoCRA regulations just came out, and the 1% rule wasn't addressed in that. So look how long
not,
those took.
yeah, not at all. I mean, it was 80
Yeah.
plus years since the regulations had changed. 1% rule was not touched or addressed at all. So the likelihood that that will change,
Not in our lifetimes.
not in our lifetime, not in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Now,
Our
companies, if they
yeah.
truly want to be transparent, they can, use the LATAM rule, right? Just here's what's in our
Right.
product.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, they can use it to their advantage, saying, "Hey, we're transparent.
Mhm.
Everything is listed in descending order. This is what's in the bottle, the best we can tell you without giving away the formula." So you can use that to your strategic advantage in marketing, by really, promoting that kind of transparency.
And there are
But
companies that do that.
yes,
Coca
yeah,
does that. Good Molecules does it
yep,
on
yep,
their packaging, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, there's a company in Europe, in Switzerland. I don't know if you ever came across this brand that would actually put the percentage inclusion of each ingredient on their packaging. So they were kind
Mhm.
of telling you, "Here's our formula," which I wouldn't go that far to be transparent, but a
Right.
good
Right.
yeah a good ingredient deck listing of everything in descending order. It's a good approach. Good approach. If I were a
Yeah, good
consumer,
for
I'd
them.
feel,
Yeah.
yeah, good for them. And as a consumer, I'd feel much more comfortable buying that type of product, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's transition to your role at Skin Angels.
Yeah.
Super interesting to me, and it really elevates your credibility in the space, which is one of the things that fascinated me most about talking to you. Please share with us what Skin Angels is and what your role is.
Yeah, Skin Angels is I'll call it a collective of dermatologists and
Mm,
researchers who have about 150 people in the group, and they host every month a Skin Angels pitch night where companies will get
mm,
online, pitch their company to the Skin Angels, and then the Skin Angels that are interested in making an investment there will pick it up with the company. They'll Let's say there are 10 Skin Angels who say, "Yeah, that's really interesting. This is something I put my money into." And then they appoint a lead, and the lead kind of helps do the due diligence and negotiates the transaction with the company. And they're typically done in the form of a non-interest bearing convertible loan. So
mm-hmm,
it's true angel seed stage investing. And then that
mm,
loan, whenever they bring in their first round of institutional capital, that loan will convert over into equity on the same terms and conditions as the institutional round. Uh, so, from my past experience and present experience, um, I bet the Skin Angels founders at the Science of Skin Summit in Austin, Texas, best conference of the year by far.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's a dermatologist oriented
Yeah.
conference, and it's all the cutting edge research coming out of the dermatology world. And naturally, I developed dermacosmetics, so that's where Skin Angels all merges together. It's I'll describe it as an investment group that is looking to invest in dermacosmetics and
Mm,
dermatechnology. Um, so I joined. I applied and got accepted and joined, and I am now the chair of the due diligence committee, because in my previous pre-cosmetics life, I was with a venture fund, and I've done a boatload of due diligence and merger and what do they call it? Whatever. Anyhow, merger and acquisition activity.
yeah.
So I've said, hey, if you need me to help in any way with anything, and they said, well, how about the due diligence committee? You could chair it, and I said, yeah, absolutely. So what the due diligence committee does is, dermatologists looking at an investment may not be skilled in evaluating that investment. So they can then come to the due diligence committee and said, hey, I'm trying to evaluate X, Y, or Z. How do I do it? What do I focus on? Right? Because everybody is trying to make a good investment decision. So um, that, and I've got some companies that hopefully portfolio companies that will be, pitching to Skin Angels. So it's a good place to go if you're in the dermacosmetic space or the OTC space. But they also do
Hmm.
cosmetic products. If you're looking for, you know, people who will be investors and also sit on your advisory board, if you're developing products for eczema, for instance, or something of that nature, there's a
Right,
lot of
right.
talent within the group that can then make an investment, join your advisory board, and then help you develop clinical trials for your products. So it's just a great place for entrepreneurs to go.
Yeah, that's really cool. And entrepreneurs, that's a lot of resources in one place that they wouldn't normally have access to.
That's correct, because you go to a venture capital fund, and they're going to kind of be, people will have expertise, obviously, maybe not so deep of an expertise that they can A, invest money, and B, help you with clinical trials and things of that nature. So it's more technically oriented, but in the early stages, that's what you really need.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, last question before our lightning round. If you
Sure.
could wave a magic stirring rod and change one thing about the beauty industry today, what would it be?
How do you know that I just happened to have one?
There you go.
Uh,
There it
there you
is.
go.
The magic
It
stirring
rained.
rod.
The I guess the one thing that I would change is that 1%
Hmm.
labeling rule, because
Okay. Yeah.
it's just a matter of being purely transparent. The other thing that kind of bothers me is, you come from the copywriting and marketing end of the industry. Um,
Yeah.
some of the claims that you see are just, please, when I see things like instant, it's like nothing's instant. And if it's instant,
Right.
it doesn't work, right? It works for 5 minutes. Uh, so
Right.
I really, I wish consumers understood that you've got to give any new skincare routine 90 days to start seeing,
Mm.
some really clear results.
Yeah.
And I think smart companies and smart brands set that expectation as opposed to playing the instant this, instant that game. That's just going to end up disappointing the consumer.
Yeah. I promise never to use the word instant again on a product package.
Have you in the past, though? That's the question. Look,
I sure have, and I have a lot to atone for with
and,
St. Peter at the pearly gates.
and guess what? Guess what? I use the one
Yeah.
percent rule. So we're both both guilty of the sins.
Yes, yes, for sure. All right, let's jump into the lightning round.
Sure.
You can be as succinct as you want to be. If you want to just give one word answers, that's fine. First product you ever developed.
I don't remember. Uh,
it's it's been too many. All right, fair enough, fair enough. I won't make you try to figure that out, but you can get back to me if it
oh,
comes to you at 3 in the morning. You know where to find me.
there you go. It was a moisturizer
Deal.
for a client in Australia.
All right, well there you go.
I just remembered.
Okay. All right, most overhyped ingredient in skincare right now.
Ooh, hyaluronic acid.
Oh, thank God.
Yep,
that's that's been overhyped for several years.
yep,
You know,
yep, yep,
I don't think we talked about AI. Um, I was working on an article about hyaluronic acid, and consumers' overuse of hyaluronic acid and marketers' overblown claims about hyaluronic acid.
yep.
And I used Perplexity for like deep research. And I
Hmm.
asked Perplexity if there was substantiation for the claim that hyaluronic acid holds 1,000 times its weight in water. And it said that that was not true, that it
Yep,
essentially holds 28 times its weight in water. And I
yep,
cannot tell you how many times I've written that falsehood on a product package.
yep, yep, yep. That's exactly the case.
Crazy. Crazy. All right, next question. Most underrated or overlooked ingredient?
Ooh, that's a good one. Boy, you're stumping me on that one. Um, I would say it's not underrated, but niacinamide is a great ingredient all around, but it's not underrated by any stretch of the imagination. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, You got me.
I agree with that. I think everybody should be using a niacinamide serum in their routine.
I put it in virtually everything. You remember that hot
Love
sauce
that. It should
commercial?
be in virtually everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
you remember that hot sauce commercial? I put this shit in everything. There you go. Niacinamide.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it propels efficacy. It's a
Mhm.
fantastic ingredient, and the skin loves it.
Yep, yep.
All right, next question. Favorite lab tool you can't live without?
Ooh, that would be the homogenizer.
The
I
what?
use homogenizer. I I I I like to homogenize things that don't even need to be homogenized. So, for instance,
Yes.
I use
We're
that
going to
shit
need
on
some
everything.
explanation on that one.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Well, like, if I'm making a face oil, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'll often homogenize it, even though there's nothing in there to homogenize. It just, kind of breaks the individual oil droplets into, just smaller and smaller droplets. So I think you get a more
Hmm.
even, better distribution. Uh,
Yeah.
so the homogenizer,
The homogenizer. I would
you
never have
got it.
seen that coming, right? Two more. Your own go-to personal skincare product, one you made yourself or otherwise.
One I made myself. I only use
Okay.
with the exception of Dove sensitive skin body wash,
Mm-hmm.
because I can't develop anything better. Right? I
Oh,
have
wow.
I have sensitive skin, and have gone through many
Okay.
many products, and that Dove sensitive skin body wash is just amazing. Never have any problems with it.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Other than that,
Would you use it on your face?
yes, yep. I I
Wow.
I even wash my hair with it. So
That
yeah,
is well, I use facial cleanser on my head. So
there
I'm
you
with
go.
you on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, I buy from companies for whom I develop the products that I develop
Got it.
for them, right? So I know
Yeah.
exactly what's in there. So I'll get on my client's website and just buy it, just like I'm a regular customer.
That's great. Way to support. I love that. All
Yeah.
right, last question. If you hadn't gone down this path, what would you be doing instead?
Oh, that's a good one. I would probably be back either on the venture capital side, or corporate development, kind of business side. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'm much rather what I'm doing now.
You love what you do.
I
Yeah.
love what I do. Just, it's like not work. You know that saying, if you get up in the morning and you do for a living to make money whatever you would do anyhow, then you
Hmm.
just can't find a better situation than that. So, this for me is the ideal situation. Had I been talented enough, I would love to have continued professional photography.
Ah,
Yeah, that's something I really, really enjoyed. But you can't make a, you know, you have to be really, really, really good to make money at it. It's very
yeah. To make a
competitive.
living out of it.
Yeah, to make a living out
Yeah.
of it, it's very, very competitive. And then if I could be born again, and what would I do?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
right? Uh, I would either want to be a professional basketball player, because I always loved playing basketball.
Yes. Yes.
I need to pick taller parents next go round. That's the key.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
with you. Can we play on the same team?
you got it. You got it. Or I would want to be a professional race car driver, Formula One.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, yeah. That's always fascinated me. And there's a I one of the things I really want to do in life is find a race course, well, where they will let amateurs get behind the wheel of a Formula One and take it around the track.
Mm. Oh my
And
God. Well, Brad
yeah,
Pitt did it.
yep.
If
Oh, he
Brad
did?
Pitt can do it, you can do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then the
There
last
you
thing,
go.
if you've got time for one more, the last thing that I've never done that I
For
really would
sure.
like to do, I hate baseball. Can't stand it. Always sucked at it.
Okay.
But I would love to stand in the batter's box and have a professional pitcher toss at me just to see if I could even see the ball whizzing by, right? Can you imagine the stuff those guys can
Yes.
do with the balls? I mean, it's just amazing. I'm
Yes.
sure I would be
My
standing
hunch
there.
is you won't see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could watch him wind up, and the next thing I would know, I'd just hear thump. You know, I don't know
You'd be
how
like,
guys.
wait, is he pitching? When's he gonna pitch it?
That's right. So
This is
that's
great. Yeah.
that's life, Carmine.
I love it. Love what you do. You found what you love. You found what you love and you're doing it. And I too. I love being a writer. Every day I wake up. If I weren't being paid to write, I would write.
There you
Thank you
go.
so much, Mark. This was
Hey,
incredible. I really appreciate it. It was such a fun conversation.
okay, Carmine, I had a great time. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
For sure. Ciao,
Take
my
care
friend.
now. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to the Skin Karma Pod. Find more insights, real talk, and reviews of my favorite skincare products on the Skin Karma blog at skinkarma.com. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review this episode. It helps me to reach more listeners. Ciao.